Hello guys, today I'm gonna read a book. If you wonder what book, I know, the best book I've ever read. Let's just make it more realistic. Right, so what we're gonna read is Spooks, Apprentice. I'm already a bit far in this, so I'm not sure. So I'm only gonna read a little bit. It's a book I like. So I'll read about to page 15. Page 15, and right, so let's get right into the book. Right, I'll read the blurb. Right, warning, do not read after dark. Someone has to stand against the dark, and you're the only one who can. For years, the local spook has been keeping the county safe from evil. Now his time is coming to an end, but who will take over? Many apprentices have tried. Some plundered, some fled, some failed to stay alive. Just one boy is left, Thomas Ward. He is the last hope. But does he stand a chance against Mother Malkin, the most dangerous witch in the country? Right, so that was the blurb. This is a map. So yeah. Ooh. Let me just lower you guys. There we go. Right. So there's 13 books. And I'm not sure if there's any more. The Spooks Apprentice, this one's called. The second one is the Spooks Curse, and then I'm not sure which ones else there are. Right. When the spook arrived, the light was already beginning to fail. It had been a long, hard day, and I was ready for my supper. "You're sure he's the seventh son?" he asked. He was looking down at me and shaking his head doubtfully. Dad nodded. "And you were a seventh son too?" Dad nodded again and started stamping his feet impatiently, splattering my breeches with droplets of brown mud and manure. The rain was dripping from the peak of his cap. It had been raining for most of the month. There were new leaves on the trees, but the spring weather was a long time from coming. So that's page 1. My dad was a farmer, and his father had been a farmer too. And the first rule of farming is to keep the farm together. You can't just divide it up amongst your children. It would get smaller and smaller with each generation until there was nothing left. So a father leaves his farm to his eldest son, and he finds jobs for the rest. If possible, he tries to find each a trade. He needs lots of favours for that. The local blacksmith is one option, especially if the farm is big and he's given the blacksmith plenty of work. Then it's odds that odds on that the blacksmith will offer an apprenticeship. But that's still only one son sorted out. I was his seventh, and by the time it came to me that all the favours had been used up, Dad was so desperate that he was trying to get the spook to take me on as his apprentice, or at least that's what I thought at the time. I should have guessed that Mom was behind it. She was behind a lot of things long before I was born. It was her money that had bought our farm. How else could a seventh son have afforded it? And Mam wasn't county. She came from a land far across the sea. Most people couldn't tell, but sometimes, if you listen very carefully, so guys, it's saying, if you listen very carefully, there was a slight difference in the way she pronounced certain words. Still, don't imagine that I was being sold into slavery or something. I was bored with farming anyway, and what they called the town was hardly more than a village in the back of beyond. It was certainly no place that I wanted to spend the rest of my life. So in one way, I quite liked the idea of being a spook. It was much more interesting than milking cows and spreading manure. It made me nervous though, because it was a scary job. I was going to learn how to protect farms and villages from the things that go bump in the night, dealing with ghouls, ghosts, boggarts, and all the manner of wicked beasties would be all in a day's work. That's what the spook did, and I was going to be his apprentice. How old is he? Asked the spook. He'll be 13 come August. Bit small for his age. Can he read and write? Dad answered. He can do both, and also knows Greek. His mam taught him, and he could speak it almost before he could walk. That's quite impressive, actually. The spook nodded and looked back across the muddy path beyond the gate towards the farmhouse, as if he were listening for something. Then he shrugged. It's a hard enough life for a man, never mind a boy, he said. Think he's up for it? He's strong, and he'll be as big as me when he's full grown, my dad said, straightening his back and drawing himself up to his full height. That done. The top of his head was just about level with the spook's chin. Suddenly the spook smiled. It was the very last thing I'd expected. His face was big and looked as if it had been chiseled from a stone. Until then I'd thought him a bit fierce. His long black cloak and hood made him look like a priest. But when he looked at you directly, his grim expression made him appear more like a hangman, weighing you up for the rope. The hair sticking out from under the front of his hood matched his beard, which was grey. But his eyebrows were black and very bushy. There were quite a bit of black hair sprouting out of his nostrils too, and his eyes were green, the same colour as my own. Then I noticed something else about him. He was carrying a long staff. Of course I'd seen that as soon as he came within sight, but what I hadn't realised until that moment was that he was carrying it in his left hand. I'm going to read one more paragraph, guys, then I'll end this video right here after I've read this page. So remember, this book is called The Spook. Wait, can you guys read that? Or has it got to be, I don't know, Spooks. Right, so it's by Joseph Danley, The Spook's Apprentice, Born to Fight the Darkness. Right, I'll read the rest of this page. Did that mean he was left-handed? Like me? It was something that had caused me no end of trouble at the village school. They'd even called in the local priest to look at me, and he'd kept shaking his head and telling me I'd have to fight it before it was too late. I didn't know what he meant. None of my brothers were left-handed, and neither was my dad. My mam was crack-handed, though, and it never seemed to bother her much. So when the teacher threatened to beat it out of me and tied the pen to my right hand, she took me away from school, and from that day on, she taught me at home. How much to take him on? My dad asked, interrupting my thoughts. Now we were getting down to the real business. And that's where I'm going to leave it. So if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. Because, yeah. But if you do get nightmares from this, I'm very sorry, but it literally says, look, warning. Do not read after dark. So if you guys get scared, then I'm very sorry. It's just a warning. But yeah, The Spook's Apprentice is the first one. I'll tell you the order it goes. Right. So, book 1, The Spook's Apprentice. Book 2, The Spook's Curse. Book 3, The Spook's Secret. 4, The Spook's Battle. 5, The Spook's Mistake. 6, The Spook's Sacrifice. Book 7, The Spook's Nightmare. Book 8, The Spook's Destiny. Book 9, I Am Grimalkin. Book 10, The Spook's Blood. Book 11, Slither's Tale. Book 12, Alice. Book 13, The Spook's Revenge. Also available, The Spook Stories Witches. So yeah, it was written by Joseph Delaney. So I'm going to leave it here for this episode. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And I hope you enjoyed. This is practically an advertisement for the Spooks. It's a really good series. So yeah. Bye. Hi. This is awkward now. Bye. You know what? I'll do another reading of this. Shall I? Comment down below if I should read a bit more of Spook's Apprentice. Yeah, just wait. I'll be back. Actually, yeah. Right, BRB. So yeah, Spook's Apprentice. More of this. Or Down Shannon. Probably Spook's Apprentice. Bye.